Nogueira, Velasquez, UFC 110. Check your local listings.
And Dana, if I could ask you, I mean, when you look at a fight like this, a guy with only 6 or 7 fights, how can a guy like that be a match for somebody who's done what Nogueira has done in the sport?
Yeah, well, it's like you said, a lot of tough guys have been thrown at him, and he's had a progression to get to this point. I think that he's faced good competition and won handily. I think he looks better every time he fights. I think he's completely well-rounded and one of the top heavyweights in the world. So, facing a guy like Nogueira at this point in his career actually makes sense for him. Guys like, Kane and Nogueira, I think everybody knows what kind of a fight that's going to be. This kid never stops. He just keeps moving forward, and this guy can't be stopped. He can never, he survives no matter what happens to him. I think they're right. I think it's going to be a great fight between two tough guys who work hard and both want to win this fight. But yeah, most of the time you see respect in this sport, and don't see stuff going back and forth. But sometimes it happens. Obviously, for Brock is back in the heavyweight division now. He's healthy and he's going to fight again. And Mir and Carwin are going to fight for the interim title, because that fight was already made before Brock said he was coming back. And these two, the winner of this fight, puts them right in the mix, because something could happen to either Shane or Mir in that fight where they couldn't fight Brock, so the winner of this fight would fight Brock. Then for the 85-pound division, two big names in the 85-pound division, and this puts them right in the mix for, whoever wins this fight, they're in the mix for a shot at Anderson Silva's belt at 185. And Soteropoulos keeps getting better and better. Looks good every time he fights. Who knows? That 55-pound division is ugly. There's a lot of tough guys in that division. And the toughest guy being BJ Penn. I mean, he looks phenomenal. People think he can't be stopped now at 55, so we're always going to need new contenders for BJ. Just like everywhere else. Basically, everybody here is used to boxing. And in boxing, unless you were 49-0 with 48 knockouts, you sucked. Okay? If you lost one fight, nobody wanted to watch you anymore. I think that's what was so refreshing about mixed martial arts when it came. There's so many different ways to win and so many different ways to lose that any guy can lose on any given night. And again, I hate standing up here and sounding like I'm smashing boxing, because that's what I always sound like I'm doing. I am a boxing fan, and I like boxing too. But, boxing's jaded a lot of people over the years. And I think when we first got into this business, when I started to realize, as a fight fan myself, it wasn't about, I got to see a guy that's undefeated and he has to be unstoppable. I wanted to see great fights. I want to see great fights. If I put down my money and I buy a ticket or I buy a pay-per-view, I want to see a great fight. And you started to learn that when Arturo Gatti became so popular. This guy wasn't undefeated, but boy, let me tell you what, when Arturo Gatti was fighting, you knew you were going to see a badass fight, and that's what you wanted. And that's what you get from mixed martial arts, Very few guys go undefeated in this sport. And, you can have a record like Vanderlei's, and let me tell you what, watch what happens when Vanderlei Silva walks into this arena on Sunday morning. The place is going to go crazy. They love Vanderlei. And they love Vanderlei because of the way Vanderlei fights. He's balls to the wall, all guts and glory. He you know what I mean? He wants to go out there and put on a good show, and people love him for it.
Nogueira, Velasquez, UFC 110. Check your local listings.